Hello there, my name is Lee, and today I will review or give you my thoughts on the season finale of Star Trek Picard. At the end, I will also talk about the series in general so far, or I guess the season so far. Um, Sorry if I have to talk quietly again. It's a lot of people are at home and they always are annoyed if I talk too loudly. And also, yeah, sorry for not being pretty. I'm kind of not feeling it, so you have to deal with this. Overall, let's start with the the most positive thing. Let's start with that. Let's be positive. I think Data's arc was completed very gracefully. He got a much better end that he deserved than he did in Nemesis. Although I kind of like how he just died in Nemesis, even though they did include that stupid way to bring him back with before, but it was a very appropriate and a good end. He deserved this end, the character of Data. Data is my favorite Star Trek character, by the way. So I almost had a tear in my eye when he died. Almost. But I didn't buy the Picard stuff at all. He died, I was just like rolling my eyes so hard. I did not feel sad even a little bit because I knew it would. The series is called Picard and has 3 seasons. You can't just permanently kill him off in the first season. That's not how this shit works. I thought, well, it's not technically that big of a Deus Ex Machina because it was hinted at with the Golem. I predicted it. It wasn't hard to predict. If I can predict something, and I barely think about series and predictions, then you fucked up as a writer. Because I don't even like predicting, and totally predicted that the Golem was there for that. I read it up on Memory Alpha. The Irumodic syndrome before was only like that he grew senile and confused, like he would lose some mental processing power. But here it was portrayed as he's at full capacity but has these weird headaches, and then he takes some headache hypospray and it suddenly kills him for good. I mean, they didn't say it was Irumodic syndrome for some weird reason. They didn't, but we are led to believe it is that, and it also is different from what we've seen before. I did not like that. And also, what's the point of him dying if they bring him back a minute later and cure him? Like, was it really such a big point to cure him of that? I know what you're thinking, that okay, we want a season or 3 seasons of that, but the fans will say, but isn't he supposed to have Irumodic syndrome? Well, no, because that was an alternate timeline, and it was said that maybe it never becomes active. Maybe he can grow old without it, like, activating. So even ignoring sickness for Picard's character would have been perfectly fine. Overall, it felt like a really cheesy action movie finale. It was much more fantasy than sci-fi. It's science fiction, but it felt far removed from science. It was more in the realm of, like, Star Wars, maybe. And I know this sounds like I'm bashing Star Wars. I'm not. I personally don't like Star Wars, but it's just a different kind of feel. It's more fantasy-like. Well, it's getting hot here. Sorry. In Star Wars, if they have some weird power that's never been seen before, it's easier to buy that because they have weird powers to begin with. In Star Trek, at worst, it's just nonsensical technobabble. Yes, I'm looking at you, Voyager. But at best, it does make a little bit of sense. Star Trek has been very mixed about this, but usually, or at least half the time, it tries to make sense, okay? But this series didn't. It didn't attempt to make any sense. Why didn't the Romulans fire? That's a cliche that needs to die in movies in general. Like they said, okay, now fire. And it's almost been comical. I don't know if that was intended, but even if it was intended, then you can't just include the big bad guys in the finale of your super serious dark series. Super serious dark series. It's a difficult combination of words. You can't do that on purpose. And so I like to believe it was unintentionally comedic. But I hated how they said it three or four times. I'm not lying, I'm not making this up. To fire weapons on that planet, and they never did. It annoyed me to no end. The magic tool, the magic wand they have now, it absolutely destroys any sense of on any suspension of disbelief and any sense of excitement, tension. That's what I want to say. If they can do literally anything with like the power of a cue almost, well, not quite, but that was an exaggeration, sorry. How is that? That's like a Doctor Who thing. That's a fucking children's cartoon thing, but not a Star Trek thing. This little thingy can, with the power of imagination, create an entire fleet of ships that, to be fair, it cannot fight on that stuff, but it can fool an entire Romulan fleet's sensors. Like, they scanned them and fired on them. And it's top of the line Romulan ships, Tal Shiar ships, even. How does this work? Those are the best ships in the galaxy, and their sensors are fooled by a little freaking thing, by a little Ocarina of Time looking piece of shit. It makes no sense, and I absolutely hate it. I hope they ignore it next season, because it pretty much destroyed the finale, that little tool. And it will destroy any future storylines, because if they are, oh my god, the Borg invasion, they can just like, I imagine the Borg away, and whoop, all Borg are gone. Come on, it's like that Prophet move. Okay, people are really loud right now. It's like what the Prophets did in Deep Space Nine, but at least that was hinted at for over 5 seasons and made sense story-wise, even though it was a Deus Ex Machina. So I guess it was not. It felt like one, but it wasn't. But this thing is. And it's stupid, because it's a little tool they found. Okay, sorry, I'm back. Yeah. Also, Tilly 2.0. Wait, I have to stop again. Maybe. It's like super loud. I'm afraid someone's gonna storm in and ruin the recording. Tilly 2.0. Hopefully, what I hope, and I know it will not happen, but the only thing that would redeem this to me is if she gets convicted of murder and sent to jail in that weird New Zealand paradise jail we saw Tom Paris in. Just place her there. Like, mention it briefly, or like a 5-minute scene in season 2 where she says, I'm sorry, I have to part ways. I'm convicted of murder. And then she's just gone. That would make me happy. But she single-handedly ruined ruins the series almost. Like, why is there a need to include a character like that, whose whose entire personality is quirky and annoying? Like, didn't you learn from Neelix? Didn't you learn from who else is like Neelix? I don't know. Some people would say Dr. Phlox, but he actually seemed nice and not like an asshole like Neelix was. She's so irritating. I absolutely hate her. She might be a top contender for most. Well, if we count Discovery, then not, but I hate how every series needs that character now. Like, who does she appeal to? Who likes Agnes? I'm begging you to explain why you like Agnes. Make me understand. Because I cannot even fathom how someone could possibly like her. Even a little bit. They didn't mention how or why or who caused the androids to go nuts on Mars. I guess we're supposed to just assume it was a Talshia plot, or Shadvash plot of O, because she's like the security person, that she kind of did that. But it was lazy that it was resolved too quickly. That's a problem of the entire season or this finale. Everything is resolved way too quickly or doesn't even get a proper solution, you know? It's just, okay, now it's done. Moving on. Riker showing up as a badass admiral was nice. It was a bit inappropriate what he said. He just said, oh, I would love to kick your ass, or whatever he said. It's not professional, Riker. But it kind of fits still. Like, if anyone is unprofessional, it would be Riker and not Picard. And actually, really, that was a funny scene. He said, hey, did you think I would just be chilling in my garden and bake pizza all day while you do the hard work? Because I said that. I watched these episodes with my mom, and I told her, I cannot believe that he's just sitting in his garden baking pizza all day. And now he said it himself, so that was actually cool. Yeah, Data's arc being resolved was very nice. That was the only... I'm going to be blunt here. It was one of the very few things this series actually added to Star Trek that I really liked. I like Rios. That's the other thing. And that's pretty much it. Rios and Data's story. I guess the ex-Borg stuff and a little bit of fleshing out of Romulan culture, I also liked those. So I'm being way too harsh now. I actually liked this series somewhat. The Starfleet ships of the fleet, they looked okay from what I could see. I did not actually look at screenshots. Some bigger nerds than I probably posted and analyzed the ships. What I saw was decent enough. It looked like Starfleet. But it didn't, like, nothing popped out like the Akira class did, for example, in First Contact. When I first saw it. It overall felt less creative. Whole golem thing is bullshit. I already said that. I guess I could go more in depth, but I don't know. It's like, so everything is conveniently placed to make the story work out somehow, without regards to whether it even makes sense. It's very badly written, this series so far. And I will stand by that. It is... No, the characters are written well. Or, yeah, they are written well. But the story is written very badly. It's a bad story. I liked Data's quote with the butterfly. I'm actually almost tearing up again. Data finally got the death he deserved. And it's great. It's a fitting character end. I hate how Hugh and Ichab had to die for absolutely no reason, just for some shock value. Because they could have been very interesting characters. Hugh was an interesting character in that one episode of TNG. They could have done a lot more, and it's just a shame to see that the moment they finally pop up in canon on screen again is also the moment they are murdered. So it's a waste of potential. So data scenes, a 5 out of 5. This episode, I actually wanted to give. I wrote down 1 out of 5. It's very harsh, but those two combined, I am willing to give this episode a 2 out of 5, like the other bad ones. There wasn't a huge offensive bad episode like Threshold or Sub Rosa or many others in Star Trek before. And I have to give props to that. There wasn't anything completely offensive to all of my senses. Every episode had a little redeeming thing. Now, as for the series so far, my favorite characters are Rios. They also like Ruffy. Most hated character is Tilly 2.0, aka Agnes. The others, I wish the Romulan boy, what's his name, like Elnor, he should have been used more or gotten more characterization. Half of his scenes are stupid little joke scenes with like, oh, look how naive he is. And the other half he's just murdering people, which is also not an interesting character trait. Because there's a lot more potential for that character. I hope next season will flesh him out more. It was really cool seeing Seven again. She fit, like, not only because it's a Borg story, but it was cool to see where her character went after Voyager. I didn't really need Riker or Troy or this new Sung guy, but they were decent, like, in the story. It wasn't like too like, oh look, we just inserted them because you will love it, you will eat it right up. It actually did make a little bit of sense. The actors are good, of course, and it was fan service, and I enjoyed it for that. So, no complaints here. I really, really hope next season will be less cheesy action movie and more Star Trek, the core values, which were present towards the end, but still without the whole. You know how many people, including me, think the Star Trek movies are worse than Star Trek series? And it seems that for the new Star Trek series, they actually try to replicate the movie feel more than the series feel, and I think that's a shame. Because the more calm and cerebral episodes are what people like about Star Trek, I feel like. I hope the magic thing will never come up again, the magic tool. It is so bad. I want to meet the writer who came up with that and ask him, what the fuck, dude? Those were my thoughts. Now I have to edit these 2 piece of shit videos together because I had to pause once. I need an editing program, or maybe I can do that with YouTube. I don't know. Hope to see you in season 2. Hope you enjoyed my little series. I will try to look prettier on future videos again. I'm sorry, guys. Live long and prosper. And bye-bye.